It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Great to have you in studio with us again, whether you're watching or listening. Monica Colt, Sergeant with the Cottonwood Police Department, in studio with us today. Hello, Monica.
How are you?
Very good.
Good.
Very good. We've been chatting for about 20 minutes now. We've done a show already.
We have.
We're going to do another one right now. But Monica's here to talk about Todd Moore. Detective Sergeant Todd Moore sent out a press release last week, and I didn't do a story on it specifically because I wanted to have you come in and spend a little more time talking about it, because I remember years ago we discussed this, and now it's back. It's the Crime-Free Multi-Housing Program. A number to call is 634-4246 if you're interested in what we're talking about today. A class for this is coming up in September, but it's the Crime-Free Multi-Housing Program.
Correct.
Give us a little background on it.
Crime-Free Multi-Housing actually was started in Mesa in 1991, 1992 by an officer that realized that they kept responding to these multi-housing complexes or apartments, and they were trying to implement block watch in those complexes, and it wasn't working like it did in typical residential communities. And so it was almost like an uphill battle. They were constantly responding, dealing with the same problem, same people, and it was becoming just very frustrating. There wasn't a safe environment for some of the other tenants there. So Tim Ziering actually came up with the Crime-Free Multi-Housing Program, implemented it. It was very successful, and then branched it out across the nation and actually worldwide. It's as far as like Canada, Australia, Japan. It's just it's a worldwide program, but there was so much success in it, and I wasn't familiar with it, and I've been in Cottonwood, 19 years now. But at that time, I hadn't heard about it. But when the city manager Doug Bartosh was the chief of police, and he came as chief of police, he was familiar with it and the successes of it. So he introduced it to us, and we had officers attend training, and we implemented it, and we saw a huge success almost immediately. And so this was around 2006 that we did it.
And we were talking before the show that time period was pretty big in Yavapai County for a specific reason.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. We were at a point where we had a methamphetamine epidemic going on, and this is about the time that we started. We saw Matt Force was created, and Sheila Polk and Doug Bartosh were co-chairs on that, and we started implementing crime-free multi-housing. And between 2004 2006, when we started addressing it in different avenues, especially like through Matt Force, the 5, 10, and 15-year sentence through Yavapai County Attorney's Office for methamphetamine drug dealers, we saw between the 2004 2006 a 30% drop in Part 1 crimes. Right. So that was huge, and so it was a 40%, I think, drop in Part 1 crimes. So that was huge, and we saw a lot of success when we started implementing these different programs and basically saying we're going to take our communities back and make a safer community for others to live in that are law-abiding, that just want to have a safe place to raise their children.
Right.
So again, we saw a lot of success with that, and we, in fact, for the crime-free multi-housing, I think it was Mountain View Villa, during the time frame that we ran some stats on, we saw a 77% drop in calls for service there because of the way crime-free multi-housing was working. It was very successful. And then we saw a 92% drop in arrests from that complex. And Mountain View Villa has been certified. I think they got actually certified in 2008, and they've been certified since. And so they've maintained that, and I've interacted with them since then, and they have great managers on board there and understand the success in the program and why it's important to maintain it and continue it. So we've continued the crime-free multi-housing, but it kind of went to the side a little bit in terms of other places because management would change. We had leadership change within the department or people move around, so others got assigned the crime-free multi-housing. And so different things happen, and initially I think we saw a lot of success with it. So we're like, okay, this is succeeding. Let's address something else over here now.
Right, something else popped up that was important. We're going to deal with this now.
Yeah, and so
right, as is the case most of the time.
Exactly, and so
right.
I think when we sat back and looked back on it, we saw, wow, this is we really need to prioritize crime-free multi-housing because it is so successful, and we need to really kind of focus our attention on it and not set it aside because of the success, thinking that it's going to self-run itself. That's not the case. And so, there's certainly commitment from the police department's end of it that I've told the folks now I promise to commit at my end to continue the success of it from the police department aspect of it, because there is so much success in that program, and it creates a safer environment for the law-abiding tenants that want to have a nice, peaceful environment to live in.
Who doesn't, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's got to be better for the tenants.
Exactly. Yes.
It's better for management because they don't have to deal with that. It's better for the police department because you're not there.
Yes.
So it's kind of a win-win all the way around.
Well, absolutely. And management sees that they're not having. Initially they may have a higher turnover rate because they are eliminating the criminal element, but they also find too that they're spending less in the long run for repairs, damages, and they find that
that's a good point,
that they do have tenants that stay longer, so the turnover rate becomes less, and so they find that they have tenants that stay longer as well, because oftentimes in rentals, most are there for a short time, or depending on what their goals are. Some rent for a while until they can own, but they find that they've had tenants there for years because it's a nice, safe, quiet complex that the person can live in and enjoy Cottonwood.
Well, maybe we should actually talk about the crime-free multi-housing program. Exactly.
Sure.
What is it and how does it work?
There's 3 phases to it. Initially, it's the first phase is an 8-hour program that I'll put on with Cottonwood Police Department will put on, where anybody that is interested in that complex as far as management goes has to attend. All the employees have to attend at some point, but they get certified from the 8-hour training as an employee there. There's 2 more phases, so there's 3 phases total. The second phase is where I go on the property and I do inspections to make sure that they're in line with the CPTED, or it's crime prevention through environmental design. And so as long as they're in line with that, so for instance, trees are trimmed 7 feet and higher. Bushes are no more than 3 feet high.
So you make sure the entire complex is a safe environment. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we make sure that's safe, and they allows them time to do any kind of modifications or whatever they need to do. And then the third phase of it is what we call the crime-free multi-housing social, and that's where law enforcement gets together with management, and they have free food for the members of the residents there. We provide some educational information to them, get them more educated on the crime-free multi-housing aspect, give them some ideas for preventing themselves from being victims, or we do target hardening is what I call it, is what we call it, so that they, such things as locking their vehicles or things like that, because even though it may be a safer environment for them with the rest of the tenants there, sometimes bad guys will come into those places where it's an opportunity to try and burglarize vehicles, et cetera. And so we educate them on becoming, target hardening, so that it's harder for them to become victims. And so once they complete that, then they're certified to the complex is then certified to advertise as a crime-free multi-housing complex.
How do they advertise that? Do they have like something there at the front desk?
We have
in the office?
A logo that it's an international logo, but it's a crime-free multi-housing logo that they can put on signs. So when you enter the property, it's on there and they're able to boast about it. When they advertise, they can use the crime-free multi-housing logo. And so they can promote that. And anybody that's familiar with it knows that the benefits come with it. And those that have experienced it elsewhere have gone on the property. I've talked to management, like at Mountain View Villa, and they've gone there to rent, and they see that they are crime-free multi-housing, and they just turn and walk away because they're not eligible.
Gotcha.
They recognize that it's what the program is, and that if they have felonies, et cetera, they're not eligible to rent there. So they do a pretty strict background check as well. And if someone has been evicted from one participant of the crime-free multi-housing program, they're now not eligible. They can't rent.
Let's take a break and we'll come back and let's talk about kind of the powers it gives the management of these places. Okay, let's take our little break. Sergeant Monica Colt with Cottonwood Police Department in studio today. You can get a hold of her by calling 634-4246. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Countywide. Cottonwood Police Sergeant Monica Colt in studio today. We're talking about the crime-free multi-housing program. Next class is coming up in September. To get a hold of her, call 634-4246. That's the main line of Cottonwood PD, and you can just ask for Monica, and they'll put you through to her. We were talking about what crime-free multi-housing program is, and I want to go back a little bit because between, like you said, 2004 to 2006, I was surprised, and everybody was, but methamphetamine became a big deal.
Yes.
And then we talked about the 5 to 15 years, and I can remember we used to take stories that way too, about how if you were caught transporting or dealing methamphetamine anywhere in Yavapai County, whether you had any strikes against your record or not, it was an automatic 5 to 15 years. And then that went statewide. Mm-hmm. So methamphetamine in the state is a pretty bad drug to be caught with, especially if you've got a large amount of it. Then the goal of it was, I believe at that time, was to say, okay, we don't want this in Yavapai County. Let's make everybody who wants to have anything to do with methamphetamine, we're going to move you out.
Correct.
Go live someplace else because we don't want it here. And I felt like the crime-free multi-housing program came around at the same time with that same intent, was to, okay, you're doing this nasty stuff in this apartment complex. It's unsafe. We want you to move away as well.
Correct.
So this has been a big success, and it's come back, and I know 3 more complexes are now involved in it.
Yes.
And so how does this empower the management?
Well, and let me back up. The last class I have 9 complexes that have attended training.
Okay.
One of them being Highland, and Highland, I can't think of the last name part of it, but it's Highland Squares. It's the new one right there, I think it's Willard and Candy Lane.
Okay.
It's going to be it's an adult complex. It's for senior living, but they're on board with it as well because they know the benefits to it.
Nice.
So it's not even inhabited yet, and they've got folks on board with it management. But so I have other 9 complexes in Cottonwood that have attended the training who, are interested in becoming certified in crime-free multi-housing. So that's great because
that's really great.
Those are the largest complexes we have. So,
perfect. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. 3 of them are completely certified now, and that's Mountain View Villa, Rio Verde, and Sagewood. And Sagewood's off of North 10th, and Rio Verde's off of 12th Street near MVD or across from the soccer field. And then Mountain View Villa is behind the post office.
Okay.
So they're completely certified now. Mountain View Villa has been certified since I think 2008, but all 3 of them now are certified. And I anticipate that just speaking with management from the other places, have the full intention of becoming certified too. They're just working on the second part of it, which is I got to do an inspection for the crime prevention through environmental design or SEPTED that
property,
I
okay.
talked about. So they're still in that phase of it where they've got to make some modifications and changes, and I'm going to come in, do an inspection, and hopefully get them completely certified as well.
fantastic then. Okay.
Yeah, so it's
That's
really
great.
kind of it's really picking up again, and I love
Sure.
seeing that because again that goal would be to take the criminal element and move them out of Cottonwood.
Right.
So and again, folks sometimes wonder, crime-free multi-housing has been challenged before, asking, well, how can you? This is discrimination if you evict these folks, and
That's what I
and
wanted to get to. Yeah, next. Is
Is-
how do you just evict somebody? Because I can understand that's a difficult thing to do sometimes.
Certainly, and
Right.
and so what it is it shows they sign an addendum to lease. That's really the backbone of it that says
Okay.
we will not commit these crimes or we will not have
All right.
these things, and if so,
You go into it with understanding.
exactly, it's
Okay.
it's grounds for immediate eviction, or if it's something minor, the management can serve what they call a 10-day notice on them, and if it continues, then it's grounds for eviction. But basically, a criminal is not a protected class. So if they're going to commit crimes, we're not evicting them for whatever their ethnicity or anything else. They're being evicted because of their behavior, and so that behavior isn't a protected class in terms of committing crimes.
Gotcha.
So that's why we explained there's so much success with it. It's been challenged in court, and they've had crime-free multi-housing has prevailed time and time again for that reason. And so with the program, like I said, it has the addendum that's really kind of the backbone. When they go in and they sign their lease, they know what they're getting into. They know what's expected of them and what's not allowed as far as being a resident there. If they violate it, then it's potentially grounds for eviction. And then it allows management then to have more, teeth in the matter. So instead of going through that drawn-out process for evicting someone, it's immediate. And if they want to challenge it, they go to court and then present the case. And then, more times than not, I'm not familiar with the case where management hasn't prevailed in the eviction process through the courts. So it's a very successful program, and management again loves it too because they get law-abiding tenants in there that
stay longer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they feel safer, they're going to have their family, their kids are going to be out and play in the common areas like the playground or the swimming pool, things like that, and they're going to enjoy their living conditions. They're going to enjoy life itself, and so ultimately the goal would be to make Cottonwood one of the safest places in Arizona to live, and I think that's
We're
certainly
working towards
achievable.
that.
Absolutely,
I can't say I get many press releases from Cottonwood Police Department about things going on in Cottonwood, crime-wise.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly, and we do have stuff happen, of course.
Well, sure,
but,
everybody does.
But we've been fortunate, I think, and we're because we were starting to see that again. We're moving towards that. Really promoting community policing and looking at different programs that we've had success with in the past and or programs that are new that we can have success with that, again, promote a safer environment for Cottonwood and educate us with the community, educate the community with us, and allow things, where we can share information with them and they can share information with us because as police officers, we can't be everywhere all the time. So if we can have eyes and ears with other members of the community and have the community trust its police department and vice versa. It's just all of that is a recipe for success.
Work with them too.
Absolutely.
Because I hear that more and more now too about the eyes and ears of the public.
Yes.
There for a while, I think it was pretty scary to even try to call 911 and report something that was going on in your neighborhood.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and I think because folks fear, even if they want to remain anonymous, that it may, the person will figure out that it was them.
Right.
But it's one of those now too where the social media part in terms of like with the technology is great because we get a lot of folks now recording crimes for us. And so when we get there, it's easier to, it doesn't become a he said, she said necessarily.
Did you do this?
Exactly.
You just show them the footage.
Exactly.
Right.
And so and then we have more folks that are speaking up that aren't, as concerned with their safety in a sense because they do feel safer in their community.
I think if you go after for so many years of having things happen like that around you, maybe you just finally get fed up with it and sick of it, and it's like, okay, it's time to do something about it.
Yes, and if they see too, and they see that their calls aren't going unanswered, if you will, they see that we're doing something about it,
right.
or say it's suspicions of drug activity, and we pass it on to PANT. PANT's been wonderful in that aspect. They'll follow up with the officers, and then the officers can follow up with PANT or with the person that called, or PANT will follow up with them and just kind of let them know where things are at. Or they'll see, PANT comes in and does a raid, and those people are gone. So they're seeing success with that. They're seeing that their concerns for crime within their smaller community or neighborhood aren't going unanswered.
It works. All right, we got to get another break. Cottonwood Police Sergeant Monica Colt in studio today. We're talking about the crime-free multi-housing program. Phone number 634-4246. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you?
You know you do.
That's why we're here. We're free and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Picking a college, man. You and us. Go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos. Go to GetSchooled.com.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just about a minute and a half left of the program. Again, Monica Colt, Sergeant with Cottonwood Police Department, 634-4246. We'll get you in touch with her about this community or crime-free multi-housing program. When we sat down, we wanted to make sure we talked about property management companies. We've got apartment complexes, group homes and things like that are getting involved and should continue to get involved.
Yes.
But you would like to reach out to the property management companies as well.
I would, because I want to implement this program into the single-family housing areas, and property management, the property management companies are familiar with those because they oversee a lot of these rentals. And so with them, I think they would see success in the program as well, too, because you get that addendum, and if you have the tenants that are committing any type of violation that now, they've breached a contract, if you would, the lease, it's immediate grounds for eviction. And again, they're going to see that they're spending less money with they're going to have longer-term tenants. Once they get the right tenants in there, they're going to find that they're spending less money as far as repairs, et cetera, go. Mm-hmm. And so I think that it would behoove them to also want to get involved with the program, and I'm certainly the owners of the property.
I was going to ask you, is the homeowner also involved in that? Do they have to be on board with this, with the management company that they've hired to overlook their property?
Yes, but I don't think it's a hard sell once they understand the benefits of it.
Right.
And then, they approve it. And then I think, too, though, if property management companies start becoming part of this program, then when someone comes in and says, hey, I would like you to rent out my property for me, they'll say, great, here's what we offer. If you want to be with us, we're part of the crime-free multi-housing, and this is what it offers. So that they can just tell folks when they become, new, tenants, when they get in there and they want to have them oversee their property, they can say, okay, well, yeah, we certainly want to be part of that. That'd be great. It'd be easier to implement. But, yeah, so that's my goal with Cottonwood.
Well, I got to tell you, it's so good to see you again.
Me too.
It's been a long time.
It has. It really has.
It's been a long time. So would you be able to come in and talk community policing as well? Or is that
absolutely.
somebody else? Okay, well, we'll
Yeah,
talk
I'd love
about
to.
that one because I'd like that. That's another good program that's going on in Cottonwood right now. So again, the Cottonwood Police Sergeant Monica Colt, phone number 634-4246. That's today's Countywide, and we will talk to you again next time.